Hello everyone, happy Saturday. I'm at home crafting and hubby went to the car show, so that gives me time to have a little live session here with nobody around except Maisie keeps growling. So we're gonna see how that goes. And I'm kind of stalling a little bit right now to try to get the video to come up on my page so I can see what's going on. It's always the trick. Okay, so it looks like I may have it. Okay, looks like we're up. So we had a new catalog that started January 1st, and our catalogs, we have one annual catalog, and then now we're on this, I don't even know what to call it. It's super fast, where we get new ones every 2 months, which what is amazing about that is it helps us to stay on trend, share new products, and get things out there. But it's been a little hard for me to keep up. And so I apologize, but I'm turning over a new leaf and I'm gonna go with it. I have to show you though, this is real life at my house. I have an entire box of catalogs that got soaked in the rain, you know, because California, we don't get rain. And then when we do, we don't know what to do about it. And so I have my whole catalogs. They all got messed up. But this is the January, February catalog. And I am going to be sharing this card kit, which is the Celebrate Today card kit. And you get all of the items in there. So you get the stamp set, the thin cuts, the shimmer trim, the cards and envelopes, the papers, and you make these 4 cards, which they look fabulous in the idea book, which is why I ordered them. But let me tell you, they look even more gorgeous in person. So I have made up my cards. So here's a few of them here. I'm pretty bad about it. Like I will often flip the papers so you can see, like I kind of move things around and flip them, make them my own. But that's one of the great things about the card kits and the workshops is that most of the thought process is done for you. I don't know about you, but sometimes I only have a little bit of time to craft and then I can't think of an idea and I'm looking on Pinterest and looking on Facebook groups and looking at a stamp set and trying to figure out what paper to use. And then an hour or two has gone by and I got nothing done. So for me, these kits just really help me to immediately get going on my crafting. They, you know, the directions on how to cut everything is included in them. And so I can just start cutting the paper and work on it. And then my mojo gets going and then I adjust it or I flip the papers over or I'm like, oh, I could use this stamp set to make some other things. So what I will typically do is, because I work full time, like one day I might cut all the paper and then the next day I might do all the stamping. And then the next day I'll put together card number 1 or card number 2 and I kind of go from there. Now these cards, they're supposed to say yay on there. There's already one missing because I already used it and sent it off to somebody. Something about this card, I love it. It's really just 2 triangles laid on there, but it just looks so cool. I want to put like thank you or something else on there. I didn't want to put yay on mine, so I just have them here ready for me to add a sentiment to them. Again, me kind of adjusting it to what my needs are, which is what's great about these kits. So the kit comes with directions. It explains everything, how to cut it, which papers to use, which way to orient the paper, everything in here. And so like I said, I cut the first day and then come back and do other stuff. So you get the directions that are pre-printed in there. And then I love this. This is relatively new. They just started doing this not too long ago, where the card ones have thin cuts with it. So you've got your stamp set in here, and then you've also got your thin cuts. And so I'm gonna pull mine out here. You can tell mine are well used. Here's my thin cuts. I have washi tape on there, and I actually use the little magnet that they come on, and I run it right through my machine. I don't know if you can see, it's got some indentations in there, but I actually just use this to run right through my machine to cut it, and it works out great. So I just keep these little pieces of washi tape there. I will also pre-cut my material to be about the size. So for instance, if you have like a strip like this, I find that I'm constantly fussing with it, trying to get it there, run it through, reposition it, run it through again. So I will kind of go, oh, that's 1 3/4 by 1 1/2, and I'll cut a bunch of them, and I'll just stack 2 on there at a time, put my washi tape on to hold them in place, and I'll cut 2 of everything at a time. And that way, if I wanted to do pink here and white here and green here, I can do 3 different colors, whatever I'm working on. And then I have a bunch of them over here off camera. I will just do a ton of them. If I am cutting things, I just cut a ton, and whatever I don't use, I tuck back into the envelope with the stamps and thin cuts, and then later I can use them. So love this stamp set, and it's just super generic, so makes it easy to use for other items. You also get a whole roll of shimmer trim, and I've already done all my cards, and you can see I still have quite a bit of shimmer trim in there that I can use for other items. And then also, this is all the paper this is what I had left, plus some little pieces and parts. So I had quite a bit of paper left over that I can make more cards with. So I love that too, because I end up getting inspired and want to do other things. Which reminds me, I had 2 cards here. I lost them. I may have to post pictures. I think I had posted pictures before, but I thought I brought them over here to show you. I wonder if I flipped through them here and just didn't realize it. Some other cards I made with it. I guess not. Anyways, moving on. So I'm going to give you some tips about how to use the kit. First of all, this card right here, which is this card when it's done, has these little strips that you stamp on. And instead of dealing with the little tiny strips and trying to stamp on them, I glued all my paper down and then stamped these items on there once it was already glued down. And it just made it easier to handle as I was stamping. So that was super fun. Oh, cute. Okay, so my husband's at the auto show and just checking in. Hello, honey. It must not be too exciting at the auto show if he's checking in on my live broadcast. Or maybe they're taking a break and sitting down. If he's taking a break and sitting down, I can pretty much guarantee he's got a pretzel with cheese. But hi, Annette. Got a couple people on here, so yay. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this, so it's kind of remarkable that anybody showed up. Okay, so now let me share some tips with you. On the directions for the projects, there's a couple things that they suggest you do. So for the one with the balloon, here's one here. You can, I don't know how well you can see on camera, and the laptop's a little bit delayed from what I'm doing here, but there's like a pink wash behind it, and then there's a yellow along the edge here. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. I like using a water brush. You can use a regular paintbrush, but I prefer a water brush. And then even though there's water inside here and I can squeeze it and get water out, I also keep a dish with water, and I just have it here off camera because then I'll clean it when it's green, clean it when it's there, and I don't waste all the water. And it just kind of, I do both. It's just kind of random on there. I also keep a paper towel here that I thought it was off camera, but it's not. To dab off the excess water to make sure that the tip is clean. I keep that right by there. So we're going to do the pink here, and I'm just going to I want this lightest pink. I didn't want it to be too dark or to take away from the card. So I can use my water brush and squeeze a little bit of water in there and get a little water, mix it up a little bit. And this, for a wash, you pretty much want it wet, and then you just don't think about it and just do a little bit of wash. Now I kind of run out of a little color here, and I want it a little darker so I can go back in and add a little bit more. And then we're just going to let that rest and dry there. Now with these watercolors, they're kind of like a chalk. Oh my goodness, husband just posted that they are taking a break with their pretzel. These are a chalky finish, and some other watercolors have like more transparent, and so you don't have to worry about it. But with the chalky ones, I want to put the color down first and stamp on top of it. If I were to do it the other way around, then my stamped image would kind of have like a residue on it. So that's why we're doing this prior to stamping. Now I'm going to go in here and get the lightest yellow and then just go along the edges with the yellow. And this just gives it a little bit of pop. It's honestly not something I would have thought to do, but it was in the directions and I did it and I liked how it turned out. So that's kind of cool. Now a couple of my cards, I got a little heavy-handed with the yellow and I ended up liking it. In fact, this one that I was sharing, it is pretty heavy-handed with the yellow. So I'll actually use that as a sample. So I like it. It's fine for me. But if I want to pull some of that yellow off, I can just take my wet brush and go in here and pull some of that color off. And that's one of the amazing things about watercolor is it's pretty forgiving. So if I keep doing this, I can probably pull it off, smooth it out, and fuss with it as much as I want. The one thing you want to do though is you want to let it dry. Don't let it get too saturated. Come back, do it again later if you want to take some more off. Okay. So that is the balloon, tips on how to get the balloon ready for that. The other thing with the balloon they did was, we used to call it rock and roll. I don't remember what they said in the directions, but I'm gonna use the Pixie ink. And here's the balloon stamp. And it's a solid stamp. So getting ink on a solid stamp, you really wanna twist it and really get it full, nice and inky. And then I'm going to stamp this off on my scratch paper that's next to me, just right off camera. So I stamped it off once and I'm going to go back in and roll it around. I'm going to slide this little piece of foam under it. When you have a contrast between your paper and the edges, it makes it easier to line up the stamp. And even though this is black, the white kind of tricks my eyes, so it makes it a little hard for me to do that. I've been talking a bunch, so I'm going to kind of breathe on this. It's called huffing. Reactivate that ink. Get it moist. And then, let's see how good I can do that off camera. So now you have your image, and I didn't do that very good because I was off the, trying to see it from that good camera. But see how it's darker on that edge? And then now when you go in and you put your saying there, it won't detract from that. So let me find one that's like that. Which card was that on? Here we go. So see, it's lighter in the middle and darker along the edges. And this will dry to be the same color, but it's a little wet still right now. So that's how you get that lighter color in the inside. Okay, so now I say the word so a lot. I didn't realize that, but I do a lot of videos for work and I have to make sure they're captioned and go through the captioning. And I suddenly realized I say so. So now I'm going to irritate with you with that because now you'll know that I do that. I'm actively working on it. Maybe someday I could have a challenge where you count how many times I say it and win a prize or something like that. That would be funny. Moving on. The other things you have the flowers in there. One of the tricks on lining up the flower, did I run out of ones that are not stamped? It looks like I stamped them all already. Yeah. What I found with lining up the flower is this particular leaf right here is bigger than all the rest. It's very obviously bigger. It has 5 little bumps on it. All the other ones have 4. This one has 4, but it's still big, but this one has 5. And that made it super easy when I was lining it up on the stamp to find the one on the stamp that had the 5 bumps, and then you can line it up right away. So that was one of my tricks for getting it lined up perfectly. I prefer to cut my items and then stamp them. I find that to be easier for me because otherwise the die shifts, even if I put washi tape on it or something. And then by putting it on something like this, it makes it easier to see where you're going to stamp it. So it just works better for me. That's my personal preference. And I will show you that actually with the leaves because I do have leaves that are not stamped. Leaves are much easier to line up. I'm using the Close to My Heart Intense Black. And so I'm just going to ink up things. Now I've got my foam behind it. The foam also acts as a way to give more cushion to it too. It's a little harder for me to stamp these because I'm trying not to lean into the camera. So I'm a little off. Normally I'd be right over top of it, but I got that pretty good. Now I'm going to show you some different ways to color them, because this sometimes can get, you know, if you love coloring like me, there's no problem with coloring them. I could sit and color all day long. But if you especially if you're making a lot of cards or coloring isn't your favorite thing, then you might want some quicker ways to do it. So this one is my way I came up with just while I was playing. I'm going to shift this out of the side here. And here's my flower. And I'm going to take my balloon stamp. How many of you already figured out what I'm going to do? I'm going to ink up my balloon stamp and then just stamp it right over the flower. And then you quickly have a colored flower. Isn't that awesome? Love that technique. You can also use the watercolors like we've been showing. So I'm going to do a couple with the watercolor. Again, I'll go back to my watercolor pen here, brush. And same thing applies like we did the wash before. I'm just going to do a quick wash with the yellow and just quickly wash over it. I just want it to be a light yellow in the background. And just move the color around with the water and then let it dry. So leave it alone. So that's one technique. You can also do our leaves that way. I'm going to pick up this green here. And we can do the same thing with our leaves. Now look, I got a lot of color there, huh? That really, I must have really been playing around in the paint pad there. So it's a perfect opportunity to show you how to pull some of that color off. So I'm gonna pull it off. I put a little water on there, and look how I can just get some of that color to come up. And now it's not so dark. Now I gotta be careful because this is regular paper, and I could feel that if I kept going at that point, it was gonna start to make the paper pill. And so I'm just gonna set it aside and let it dry. Now the yellow's been sitting here for a minute while I was doing that. So I'm gonna go back in, pick up some of the light pink, and then, actually I want a little bit darker. Pick up some of the dark pink, and then put that on these segments here. Get that kind of two-toned look. And you can even color in the little part right there. Quick and done. Now remember the one that this is the one I did with the ink pad. I can still do the same thing with that. I can go in here and pick up some pink and add a little bit on here. Got it kind of watery that time. The drier the brush, the more you can like really focus in the color, and the wetter the water and the paint's gonna kind of move in together. So there's that one. And then of course you can always use markers. I love using our tri-blend markers. They're the Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers here. And so here's one I did before. I'll do another leaf on here. I had accidentally done the dark outline first on that one. On this one, we'll just do it a little bit different. Just go in here and do a quick color on there. And then you can go back in with one of the darker shades. That's the light shade. Dark, kind of give it some emphasis there. The other fun thing is you can go here in the middle. I'm going to color in the middle. And this is going to be super subtle, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. And then I take the blender pen, which actually isn't a blender pen. It actually pulls the color out. And I kind of poke it around like this, do little dots. And this is a really subtle look. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera at all. But it kind of gives it some texture. We'll see if the camera can pick that up. So it just adds another little emphasis to that. Okay, so this whole set is $29.95 to get everything on there. And then you can do so much more with it. Like one of the cards actually had pink leaves, which I would never have thought of that, and it looks gorgeous on the card. Let me see, find which one it was. Look, how cute is that? With some pink leaves on there. You can stack your flowers on top of each other if you want to have another look. So you can do a couple of them, stack them on top of each other, kind of mold them. I like to clip them, like if you clip between here. One more. And you can kind of shape it a little bit with your finger. And put that on top of another one. You can do a couple of different layers, put a gem in the middle. In fact, that's the card. I have no idea what I did with those cards. Sample cards I had with it. They are lost. Let me look. Right under. Yeah, I have no idea. Lost them. But on one of those, I put like 3 layers on here. And you can even like completely overlap them, put a little glue there, and they'll really puff up even more. So there are some fun ideas using the Celebrate Today card making kit. I hope you've enjoyed my tips, and make sure you order this right away. The idea book is only good January and February, and things go quick. They're popular items, so don't wait. If you have something that you want, order it right away. And then also, if you will comment on this video and share it, you'll get a point for each one. Then next Sunday, I will look and see how many comments are on there and how many people have shared it. And I will do a drawing, and I will give you, that was why I was looking for those cards. I have these 2 cards. So I was going to give you this extra card that I made plus one of each of the other cards, and I'll pop those into the mail to you, because the way Facebook works is if you comment or share, then that makes the video show up a little bit more. So if you help me out with that, I send you little perks. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a fabulous Saturday. See you soon.